Been something, and between Mike Brey and Tony Bennett, it goes back to the days of Coach Bennett when he was at Washington State. And we are underway. The Cavaliers with the basketball first in their home whites, and on what is expected to be a big day for Kihei Clark, he's got the basketball first. Armaan Franklin gets it back out to a wide open Ben Vanderplas. It rattles out on him. And the rebound by the freshman, J.J. Starling, who'll dribble it up.
I'm honestly surprised that shot did not go in. 2 hours pregame. Ben Vanderplas was out getting shots up, and I know you're thinking to yourself, why was I here that early?
They were serving food.
But he was knocking down shots early in this game. Shocked to not see that one go down, but Vanderplas is going to get a number of great looks.
Now you're here doing Sports Center hits. Talking NBA, talking college hoops. We are in the midst of it. February is turning into March shortly. As we take a look at the starting five for the Hoos, very familiar faces all across the board. Clark and Beekman, a tremendous pesky backcourt 1-2 combination. They also rack up the assist, but not there on the missed layup by Jaden Gardner.
Normally one that Gardner finishes off. Guy that scored over 2,000 points throughout his career, over 1,000 rebounds. He doesn't miss many easy ones like that.
No, former East Carolina Pirate, spent 3 years at ECU. Laszewski off the mark, rebound Vanderplas. For Virginia, it's been a big change the last several weeks, having Vanderplas start and a much diminished role in a reserve role for Caden Shedrick. How do you think that has gone and evolved for UVA, Corey?
Well, it's benefited Virginia on the offensive end, and we talked about the fact that they haven't been scoring as much over the past 5 games. But yet, when you have Ben Vanderplas on the floor, he is a floor spacer, and there's another guy that you've got to account for knocking down 3 balls, and it opens up opportunities for Kihei Clark, for Reece Beekman to be able to get into the painted area, because there's just more space in the middle of the floor when you've got Vanderplas on the floor.
So Vanderplas is making his 10th consecutive start. On the flip side, though, Shedrick's role in the last 9 games off the bench, including a DNP, he's only averaging 10 minutes a game and less than 2 points and 2 rebounds a game. He's still an excellent shot blocker, but what's his role going forward, Corey?
Virginia's going to need Caden Shedrick moving forward, no question about it. You've got so many quality bigs that you'll play against in the ACC, and of course moving forward into the NCAA tournament, he will be very much needed for this team to be successful.
With the shot clock at 3, Cormac Ryan buries the jumper.
And it's interesting, we talked with Mike Brey pregame. He talked about how his team just seems to be so much looser on the road, and they've actually played better and been more competitive in road games than they have at home.
And they certainly were competitive the last time out Tuesday at Cameron Indoor Stadium, losing a tight one against the Blue Devils. Reece Beekman on the board for UVA.
And that's an encouraging sign for Virginia. Reece Beekman did not make a field goal in their game Wednesday at Louisville. 2 of 17 in the last 2 games, so to see him get on the board early has to be an encouraging sign for Tony Bennett.
Yeah, the Wahoos survived that game against Louisville 61-58 on Wednesday, using a 12-0 run late in the first half to build a lead that they were able to, for the most part, maintain the rest of the ball game. No surprise, shot clock again down, and jumping into the passing lane is Reece Beekman for his first steal. The trail 3 is missed by Armaan Franklin.
I would have loved to have seen Reece Beekman attack the basket. It really was a one-on-one scenario. Early in the year, he would take those. Has been a little hesitant as of late in attacking the rim and finishing.
Good looking stroke in the mid-range by Marcus Hammond, the grad transfer from Niagara.
Nice pull-up by Hammond getting to the mid-range, as you mentioned, and of course doing it against one of the better on-ball defenders that you'll see in college basketball, in Kihei Clark.
Yeah, he was 2-time first-team All-Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference with the Niagara Purple Eagles, averaged over 18 a game a year ago, so he can fill it up. Here's Beekman. Catch and release, long rebound, fought for. Gardner and Laszewski tied up. And the possession arrow will go the other way. And there's Mike Brey, 23rd year as head coach at Notre Dame. And as we talked to him this morning, Corey, it hit me. Since he left DeMatha as an assistant under the Hall of Famer Morgan Wooten, he's had only 3 stops. Of course, he was a longtime assistant under Coach K at Duke, and then the 5-year run as head coach at Delaware, and then 23 years in South Bend. in that profession, college basketball coaching, to stay in only 3 places over that long a period of time, it says something about you.
It absolutely does. It says a lot about Mike Brey. And, of course, if you ever have an opportunity to sit down and talk with Mike Brey, take advantage of it. One of the best conversations you will ever have. It's so much so that Coach K actually came to his first college basketball game because Mike Brey was there. And that's the Bennett Vanderplas I was expecting to see after getting up shots 2 hours early today, coming out knocking down the 3 ball.
First 3 for the grad transfer from Ripon, Wisconsin. And I notice you keep calling him Bennett. I assume most of the audience understands why, but it's worth telling again.
You can tell it. Feel free.
His given name is Bennett, after Tony Bennett's father, who was the coach at Green Bay back when Vanderplas's father was teammates with Tony Bennett.
And I always say Bennett to pay respect to, of course, Dick Bennett, the great Coach Bennett, as Dane Goodwin drops it off to Lubin, the block, the defense on one end for Virginia, and then Reece Beekman finding Bennett Vanderplas, who's good for 3.
The University of Virginia, the 7th-ranked Cavaliers with the early lead over Notre Dame, and head coach Tony Bennett has made his name nationwide on defense. His teams between Washington State and here at Virginia have led the NCAA in scoring defense 7 times. As he has a few words for Caden Shedrick coming into the ball game now for UVA, and a sparkling record again this year, Corey, at 20-4 overall. And their 4 losses were against very good opponents.
Absolutely. No bad losses for Virginia this year. But, Doug, one of the amazing things when you look at this staff for Tony Bennett, Virginia has won 12 or more ACC games for the 6th consecutive season.
Wow.
And when you look at the losses for Virginia, the Houston game was the only loss they've had at home this season. But on the road at Miami, at Pittsburgh, and at Virginia Tech, all very difficult places to play. And, of course, Miami and Pittsburgh, both at the top of the ACC, along with the Hoos this season.
And in a more recent run, I saw a stat a week or 2 ago that actually Miami has the most conference wins of anybody over the last, what was it, 3 years?
No. That is over the last 37, 38 games.
So 2 years plus.
Yes, when you really look at the numbers and you go back the last 10 seasons, outside of Duke, no one even compares to what Virginia has done within the conference in ACC basketball.
No question.
Miami's had a great stretch over the past 2 seasons. But when you think about sustained excellence, you've got to think about what's happened in Charlottesville over the last 10 seasons.
No question. I wasn't looking to diminish or put Miami on a parallel. I was just saying oftentimes the country thinks ACC is Duke and Carolina. But clearly that's not been the case in more recent times. And what Coach Bennett has done is nothing short of remarkable here in Charlottesville.
And you can't forget about Florida State.
Right. But while those other programs have dipped here and there, they have not done that at all here at UVA. Well, we have another full afternoon of college basketball today on ESPN and the app. Number 5 Kansas hosts number 9 Baylor in a sonic blockbuster at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. And then Syracuse will host Duke. It's another great day of hoops.
I believe there will be some special tributes to our guy Dickie V at your alma mater this evening.
I would hope so. Anywhere Dick goes, it's a party.
It absolutely is that. And, of course, you know, we get to do what we do because of Dickie V. He made our jobs very popular. Always thankful to be able to share airspace with the GOAT.
Well, there will be 2 people in the Dome tonight who were instrumental in the growth of college basketball on ESPN. Of course, talking about Jim Boeheim as well. Kihei Clark with his first made field goal.
A young man who has been very instrumental in the growth of this Virginia basketball program. When you think about that, Kihei Clark continues to shatter records throughout the program.
Well, Kihei is the career leader in games played and minutes played, now the winningest player in ACC history. And today he could pass John Crotty for the all-time assist record in Virginia basketball history. And John Crotty is in the building here this afternoon, and we plan to have him join us on the broadcast later today.
And by starting this game, Kihei actually broke the career record in starts for UVA. I love that move right there. Normally he can get by most guys is he sends Trey Wirtz in a circle, finding Franklin in the corner, unable to knock it down. But Kihei Clark has it's almost like a Smitty. You know the Steve Smith move that's so famous, but he sets guys up, and so he's so quick that you think that he's going to turn his back and just goes right by people.
Dane Goodwin picks up where he left off at Cameron the other night.
Completely different look for Dane Goodwin. The last shot he took on the opposite corner, he hit the top of the backboard with that one. This one was all bottom of the net.
His season high 25 at Duke on Tuesday. His first 3 here, averaging over 12 per game. Beekman off the nice feed from Clark. And whose backcourt is clicking early here in Charlottesville.
And Kihei Clark with the assist gets closer and closer to the John Crotty record.
He has now tied the all-time record. Again, with all these records, we do have to mention that it's in his 5th year, of course. Nate Laszewski, after an air ball on his first 3, finds the range.
And that's one of the things Virginia's going to have to be very careful of throughout this game. Notre Dame averages 9 3-point field goals made per game, 2nd in the ACC. They can shoot the basketball, and Nate Laszewski, when he gets his looks, can absolutely take advantage of it.
Shedrick out to Vanderplas, thought about it, working on Matt Zona. Franklin from the corner. Got it!
You start talking about 3-point field goals, you also look at Virginia, who is at the top of the league from a percentage standpoint, shooting 38% from 3. So the Hoos are definitely capable of knocking down big shots from beyond the arc, especially in this building.
Yeah, the Hoos are 4 of 9 on 3 so far today. Notre Dame 3 of 6. 17-13 Virginia with the early lead as Kihei Clark kicks it out. Again, the next assist for Clark will set a Virginia record. Beekman off the front iron, rebounded by Trey Wirtz III. That is Langston Wirtz III. And he'll dribble up.
I like the aggressiveness I'm seeing from Reece Beekman early in this game. He's not looking to be passive. He's actually looking to score. Virginia needs him to be more of a force on the offensive end, and he's approached this game the right way.
Well, they're the top 2 in the league. He and Clark in assist-to-turnover ratio. They are number 2 and 3 in assists per game behind Tyree Appleby of Wake Forest. This is a tremendous backcourt on both ends of the floor for Virginia.
It absolutely is that, as is Dane Goodwin playing tremendous basketball throughout his recent stretch. Off to a good start, 5 points for him already in this one.
And oh, by the way, Dane Goodwin is playing in his Notre Dame career record 153rd game. Same number for Kihei Clark for UVA. Franklin short. Zona got a hand on it, and here comes Cormac Ryan for the Fighting Irish. So here is the tying assist as Kihei Clark draws even in career helpers with John Crotty, who is in the building and will join us when we come back.
The first time you made a sale online was also the first time you heard of a town
Division. Welcome back, everybody, at John Paul Jones Arena. 17-15 our score, Virginia, and we're pleased to be joined by John Crotty, who for the moment, as John joins us, you share the all-time career record in assists. Kihei Clark, 1 away from moving past you. Welcome. What do you think about when you're watching one of your records go down?
Well, look, it's mixed emotions. It's incredible timing. First of all, amazing to be back here. This is my first game back after all these years of having played and graduated in '91. But you know, having an NBA job, I don't get back often. So it's amazing that it's all come together here, and I get to come back and see this. It's a record that I've taken great pride in holding. But I'll tell you, Kia's been a great player for Virginia, winning a championship. Doing things the right way, the way he competes every single night, and just the person that he is off the court. I'm always rooting for him. So it's bittersweet. You know, I really appreciated holding the record, but I'm really happy that this is the quality guy that has an opportunity to break it, and very well deserving.
Well, he's got the ball in his hands now and could do it any moment.
Well, as one of my big brothers, I get to brag on you. So now we think about this. You had 683 assists in 4 years. Kihei Clark, and congratulations to him for tying the record. And, you know, when he breaks it, which is going to happen most likely tonight, as Reece Beekman has the nice finish. Great to see him getting some of his explosion back. But Kihei's his record will have an asterisk beside it. That is according to me. That is also according to Tony Bennett. I talked with Coach Bennett about that earlier today. It takes nothing away from Kihei, but the fact that he's had the extra time to be able to break all these records has to be acknowledged. So now when you think about your time at the University of Virginia, and now you look back your first time back, tell me a little bit about the program that you've seen Tony Bennett build over the past 14 seasons.
Just awesome. Amazing, Corey, what he's done. And great to have you here, too, man. It's awesome to have another guy who played here and excelled at such a high level. But, you know, Tony, to me, has just created that stability, and he's built on such an incredible program of guys who are coming and getting it done and doing it the right way, competing hard. I mean, when you look at those banners there and what he's been able to accomplish year in, year out, I mean, to me, he's one of the top 2-3 college coaches, you know, in the game today. And the quality of person he is, I think he just teaches these young guys, you know, how to act and get ready after college. So I think he's done an amazing job. And look, this team competes every year, right? I mean, they're in it. Their defense, they're hard-nosed every year. That's going to keep you in it. And when they can get the shooting going, they can play and beat anybody.
Absolutely. And of course, you're working with the Miami Heat now after a very long tenure playing in the NBA. And Tony Bennett told us a story about you earlier today. At rookie transition, Tony goes and gets on the bike to get some extra work in before everyone gets going. He looks out the window, and there's a guy outside running sprints. That happened to be you. You had that mentality. You always had that be the hardest worker guy mentality.
Right, yeah. Look, that's how I did it. That was how I was able to stick around for 10, 11 years and you know, compete at that level. And you know how hard it is. It's razor-thin margins of, you know, athleticism and execution, but man, being a mentally tough player and someone that, you know, brought it every night was what I prided myself in. And it's amazing seeing Tony and thinking about, you know, another point guard he was. We played against each other for about 3 years when he was in Charlotte, and you know how it's come full circle. These basketball circles are very small, right? If you stick around long enough, you're like Kevin Bacon. You got 6 degrees to everybody.
Well, when we learned that you were going to join us today, I wanted to ask a couple of the other former Virginia guards about your legacy, and we'll talk about that when we come back. As the man to my right, John Crotty, is about to go to number 2 on the all-time assist list. Stay with us. We're going to have a little fun about some of the best point guards in UVA history. People, one of them to my right, John Crotty, part of the 1,000 point 500 assist list. And there have been some great point guards who have played in this program. I've got 2 of them with me, along with John Crotty, of course, Corey Alexander, whose name does not appear on this list.
Not enough games, my guy. Only 85 games throughout my career. Half of what Kihei Clark will end up playing throughout his career, so I will not be on that list. But fortunate to be a part of a great fraternity of, you know, big-time UVA point guards. And I followed this guy to my left. Right? He left and left a spot for me to walk right into and play my guy, Dougie Fresh. The other Dougie Fresh, Doug Smith, wasn't too happy about that. But, you know, had the opportunity to come in and, you know, replace John, of course, and, you know, really kind of follow up on a legacy that he had created along with many others before me.
And, you know, Barry Parkhill was the first of the great Virginia guards back in the early 70s, 1972 ACC Player of the Year, and he still works for the university as an assistant athletic director. And I asked him yesterday, John, about you, and the first thing he said was, you are the most underrated who in program history. He thinks so highly of what you did here. Again, as you reflect back, what do you think most about your time in the early 90s playing for Virginia?
Well, look, the time, that era of ACC basketball was outstanding. It was, you know, a conference where you'd consistently play home and away against everybody. The point guards that you played against every night, no matter what the school, were high-level guys that, you know, a lot of them went on to play at an NBA level. So for me, it really helped raise my game and create amazing competition night out. So I remember the rivalries a lot, and I remember the great, you know, camaraderie we had as a team. Coach Terry Holland, Dave Odom, who was an assistant, Jeff Jones, who wound up being an assistant and taking over my last year. So, you know, a lot of positive memories of my teammates and Brian Stith, of course, whose jersey's retired here. And, you know, we were very competitive. We always gave it everything we had out there, and I think we represented the school well.
All right, so who's the best point guard in program history? You can go ahead and tell me. No one's listening,
Hey,
John.
man,
Just
look,
you and me. Tell me.
There's a lot of good guys, a lot of good players, and, you know, I think that speaks to, you know, Corey being able to play at the highest level. And I remember watching Sean Singletary. I thought he was one. I love the way he could score the basketball. You know, I liked how Donald Hand competed too. You know, my thing, and looking back on my thing, was just Virginia gave me such a great platform to develop myself. I mean, I had to do more with that team, those teams. I had to score more than if I went to a Carolina or something like that. And I think it actually helped me become a better all-around player and ultimately a better professional.
And helped you stay in the NBA for a very long time.
Right.
We had our battles, of course, the San Antonio, Utah Jazz days, and
right.
of course a number of times of running into you when you were in Miami. So throughout the league, and you were able to get there as you continue to, you know, could be that guy that went out and worked, the lunch
Right.
pail guy, worked harder, outworked everyone on the floor. So now one of the things that they've asked me to do is to give my list of the greatest point guards in UVA history, all right? So I'm going to start it with this. At number 5, you look up, you see the 44 in the banners. Sean Singletary, he's my number 5, okay? At number 4, I'm going with Harold Dean.
Okay.
Very good.
Who had a great career.
Yep.
And it may be even more underrated than Crotty.
Yeah, I agree.
At number
Great
3,
player.
I'm going with Ty Jerome. Won a national championship here, was all ACC. At number 2, I'm going with my guy, John Crotty, Jersey's finest.
There you go.
At number 2, and of course, the best point guard to ever play at the University of Virginia, scoring over 2,000 points and over 750 assists. Dawn Staley is number 1, and that will never, ever change.
That's
Dawn
a great
Staley
pick.
will always be the top point guard to ever have played at the
I
University of
was
Virginia.
wondering where he was going. He started ripping off the stats. But you know what? I agree. I agree. What a legacy she left here, and now she still continues to coach him up at South Carolina. I mean, to change that program and team and do what she's doing.
What she's done at South Carolina is amazing, and of course, you were here with her for 3 years.
Yes.
I was here with 1. How many times did you look at Dawn and say, I don't know if I could actually do that?
Yeah.
What she just did on the floor.
So quick and fast, and with the basketball, you know, really, to me, ahead of her time in regards to the way she was able to break people down off the deck, and, you know, played from Philly, played with that edge that a lot of those players have coming from Philadelphia. Just a great competitor.
Cormac Ryan beats the buzzer but misses the shot again. The Virginia defense clamping down. I talked to Anthony Solomon last night at Notre Dame shoot-around. He's another former Virginia guard who's on staff with Mike Bray, and he said if you're talking about the greatest point guards in program history, you've got to mention Othell Wilson, who was on 2 Final Four teams in the early 80s as well. Maybe he's not the first you list, but he's also in that conversation.
That's a great point. Those were great teams back then, too, and the Final Four runs, and Coach Holland and Ralph Sampson, and get to see Rick Carlisle, too, from time to time as he coaches in the association, and he was involved in one of those Final Fours.
Yeah, Othell Wilson was definitely one of the guys that I watched. Of course, while I was in high school, I was watching JC do his thing. And again, we've talked about, you know, the lineage of point guard play. And again, it will culminate right now with Kihei Clark at the point to when he breaks the record of being the all-time leader in assists. Even though there will be an asterisk beside it, props to Kihei for what he has been able to accomplish here.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I will say that Kihei has done that none of us were able to do, he won a national championship.
He sure
And
did.
he always will be part of that list, no matter what. And again, I've said it time and time again, and of course, I loved you. But Kihei is my favorite point guard of all time to watch at the University of Virginia.
Look, he is a great winner. I think that's an incredible legacy to have, and that we'll never forget that pass he made to Diakate, right?
Yep.
When that game looked like it was over, and he was such a young player playing on a big stage. Kihei was, and made the right plays at the right time to lead that team.
Yeah, Coach Bennett was talking to us this morning about that pass and about Kihei's role on that team. He said he was the perfect player. He was the perfect player on that team as the freshman to help with the older guys. And he talked about Kihei's heart that for 5 years he's benefited from the fact that Kihei has as big a heart as anybody.
Yeah, I agree. And just his ability to be even-keeled to me and have great composure at a young age, which is hard to do when you're playing in a league that's this intense and at that high a level, to come in with that kind of maturity.
You see one of 23 active NCAA championship winning players winding down a marvelous career. We'd like to thank John Crotty for joining us. What a treat for us to have a couple of UVA's great point guards of all time.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Back to JPJ right after this. We have a really good Sunday afternoon college basketball doubleheader on ESPN and the app. We start with Terquavion Smith and number 23 NC State hosting Armando Bacot, North Carolina at 1 Eastern. Then it's number 2 Houston led by Marcus Sasser hosting Kendrick Davis in Memphis, which is on Joe Lunardi's bubble. So big games all around with just over 2 weeks remaining in the regular season. With Corey Alexander, I'm Doug Sherman. You and I will be in Raleigh for that Carolina-NC State game. Joe Lunardi is going to join us, and according to his metrics, Carolina is now on the wrong side of the bubble. They are the first team out as we began play today. So in his estimation, Carolina's got to win 4 of its last 5 regular season games and then probably do a little damage in the ACC tournament if they don't want to miss out on the field of 68.
Well, a disappointing loss for North Carolina on Monday night. And when you consider, granted, against a very good Miami team, not to say that Miami couldn't beat them, but North Carolina has been very good on their home floor throughout this season. And so taking that loss really put dampers on their NCAA tournament chances in comparison to coming up with what would have been a huge win.
3 ball by Isaac McNeely misses. Virginia on a 10-3 run. Broken by that shot by Cormac Ryan. The Irish had been struggling over the last 9 minutes. That's just their second made field goal in that time.
And a confident shot by Cormac Ryan. This is a young man who has put up big numbers, especially on the road. You go back to him scoring 28 at Duke a couple seasons ago and pretty much taking over that game. And with a shot like that, I would be looking with the basketball in my hands to get another one soon.
Yeah, he made 8 straight shots in that game. It was quite a show that, unfortunately for him, he could not replicate earlier this week.
But you see Cormac Ryan now encouraging his team, not only the 3-pointer, but the nice assist to Laszewski, who gets the layup. And just like that, it's a 4-point game between these 2 teams, and the great hands by Cormac Ryan on the turnover.
Knocks it away from Kihei Clark, the normally sure-handed point guard for Virginia. Final minute of this first half, and a foul on the entry pass that went out of bounds. You can see a look on Kihei Clark's face, a little frustration after committing the turnover. And there's what Joey Brackets has at the moment. Virginia, he's not sure they can get up to the 2 line. Of course, it depends on what else goes around. But they have put together an extremely solid resume this year, Corey.
Well, and I'm not sure why they can't get up to the 2 line. When you think about their losses outside of Virginia Tech, they've lost to teams who are at the top of the country and top of the league. You think about the Miami loss, the Pittsburgh loss, both on the road and Virginia Tech on the road, and you lose to a Houston team in this building. None of those losses are bad losses. And so it'd be interesting to see if Virginia continues and wins the ACC and goes on and wins the ACC tournament. I would expect to see them at least at a 2.
Olukai Golf is for those who prefer to walk the course.
Virginia 29, Notre Dame 23. The 7th-ranked Cavaliers looking to keep pace at the top of the standings in the Atlantic Coast Conference with just a couple of weeks remaining in the regular season. Meanwhile, for Mike Bray and the Fighting Irish, just 2-13 in league play. They have played mostly close ball games, but you're judged by your win-loss record. They're looking to just take it 1 game at a time and try to build some momentum heading to Greensboro for the ACC tournament.
But looking for a bucket here to build some momentum going into the half to see if they can make this game a little bit closer.
Marcus Hammond beats his man off the bounce and lays it in with 2 seconds, 1 second. And there is a little momentum for the Irish heading into the locker room.
The Irish close the half in a good fashion. You think about Cormac Ryan knocking down the 3 to layup by Laszewski, and of course the last layup to make it a 4-point game.
Halftime at JPJ.
V.
Gotcha.
But I do believe that that record will be eclipsed throughout this game. And Kihei Clark will be the all-time assist leader at the University of Virginia by the time this one's finished.
Well, Clark and the Cavaliers come into play today with a share of first place in the ACC standings, trying to keep pace and stay ahead of the pack around them. Dane Goodwin getting the start in the second half, missing on the turnaround. It's Hammond, Laszewski, Goodwin, Ryan, and J.J. Starling, the starting five for the Fighting Irish. Franklin had a quiet first half inside to Vanderplas, who finds the cutting Gardner, who had it roll out.
And I can count that is at least the third easy layup that Virginia has missed throughout this game. We saw Jaden Gardner miss one early. Bennett Vanderplas off a nice move to the basket, missed a layup, and then to start the second half, another normally sure bucket for Virginia coming away without any points.
Well, Gardner played only 8 minutes in the first half because of a couple of fouls. That, Corey, was only his second field goal attempt of the day. Ryan off the catch and shoot. He stays hot to start this second half.
And this is the leader for the Fighting Irish. Cormac Ryan is the guy. He's their vocal leader. He's the guy that gets them going. And right now, he's come out with a nice bounce to his step here to start the second half.
Three-time captain of the Fighting Irish out of New York City. Just over a minute in here at John Paul Jones Arena. Clark, tough pass. Starling knocked it away.
Second turnover, Kihei Clark. Rare to see him turn the basketball over.
As mentioned in the first half, Beekman is best in the league in assist-to-turnover ratio. Kihei is number 2. They combine 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. And again, they get it done at both ends. They take care of the ball. They take the ball away. It's an unbelievable combination.
They absolutely are that. In my opinion, I believe they are the best backcourt in the ACC when you consider what they do offensively as well as defensively. But, of course, a lot of competition in Miami with both Nigel Pack and Isaiah Wong in that group. You've got, of course, Jarkel Joyner and Taquavion Smith in what should be the best backcourt in the ACC, residing in Chapel Hill with R.J. Davis and Caleb Love. But right now, in my opinion, I think Kihei and Reece are at the top of the list.
Nate Laszewski with a pair of free throws. Notre Dame is on an 11-2 run from the first half to the second half, and we're tied at 29. Virginia's largest lead was 9, and now trying to retake that lead. Vanderplas with a bad pass into the backcourt, and it's another UVA turnover.
Not a great start for Virginia in this second half. 2 turnovers and a missed layup, and now Notre Dame with the opportunity to take the lead. And you've got to remember, this Notre Dame team, the more confidence they build, and Mike Bray told us they are a better team, believe it or not, on the road. They've been more competitive. And Nate Laszewski feels like he has an advantage attacking Bennett Vanderplas off the bounce. The second time he's done it, and the second time it's resulted in 2 points.
And Corey, this is Notre Dame's largest lead of the afternoon. The run continues. Clark. And there's the first bucket from Gardner, and more importantly, that is a new all-time assist mark for Kihei Clark at the University of Virginia.
And prematurely, and again, this was not by design, but there's confetti falling from the ceiling. Now, it's leftover confetti from a concert here at JPJ, but there's been so much of it falling, and it happens to fall right when Kihei Clark drops off the record-breaking assist to Jaden Gardner. So the officials will spend some time cleaning the confetti up off of the floor as my guy Ronnie Weidman for UVA comes out and catches a piece with his clipboard, but stopping the time for the crowd here to acknowledge Kihei Clark becoming the all-time assist leader with 684 assists.
And as they celebrate him on the Jumbotron, the crowd at JPJ comes to its feet. Celebrating number 0 in white. Under-recruited. Originally committed to stay out west at UC Davis. Got a late offer from Tony Bennett. He flipped, and the rest is history. 5 years of brilliant basketball here in Charlottesville.
I am not going to allow you to butcher that story that way, because that's not the way it happened. Tony Bennett did not offer Kihei Clark when he was committed. Kihei Clark decommitted at Peach Jam after winning a Peach Jam championship. Once he decommitted, then Tony Bennett offered him a scholarship. Tony Bennett is not unethical to do something like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
But
I stand corrected.
I just don't want anyone thinking that Tony Bennett's going out offering guys who are already committed to go to other places.
No,
He's not that guy. But Kihei Clark put on an absolute show at Peach Jam. I believe that was in 2017. And he was spectacular. And after that, he knew his recruiting would pick up significantly. Decommits and ultimately ends up here and starts on a national championship team and makes one of the biggest plays in Virginia basketball history.
And the team's first.
Your new nickname may be the Butcher, by the way.
There is Kihei. Gardner an offensive rebound. By the way, Notre Dame still has no offensive rebounds for the ball game, which is really something, even though they are last in the league in that category.
Yeah, they still average over 6 offensive rebounds per game, but Virginia not giving them many opportunities as J.J. Starling gets a good look, just unable to finish it.
Clark to a streaking Beekman, little hesitation. Cormac Ryan defended it well, but Franklin kept playing, takes the bounce pass and throws it down.
And that's the way you don't miss a layup. You just go dunk it. I can respect that. Armand Franklin coming in, making sure there will be no doubt left after he comes off the rim.
Hammond, tough shot. Beekman clears the glass, dribbles up himself with numbers. Cut off by Goodwin, who's going to be called for the blocking foul.
There's a foul before the shot. It's on 23.
Virginia playing a bit faster. Kihei Clark getting out on the fast break, finding Reece Beekman, who attacks the basket. And then, of course, Armand Franklin continues to run and finishes with authority, making sure there will be no missed layup on this trip.
Off the non-shooting foul, Beekman gets it back. Denied by Laszewski. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Gardner spins baseline. Goodwin fighting. He was touching the basketball, though, while he was laying on the end line. No change of possession, so the shot clock remains at 12, UVA basketball. There's Kihei, the Southern Californian. And again, you say, in your eyes, Kihei is your favorite.
He is my personal favorite.
Yes.
He is my personal favorite point guard here. I just can appreciate the way that he's attacked the game, the way that he's carried himself throughout his 5 years at the University of Virginia, and the fact that he's been such a winner.
Isaac McNeely soaring above the rim, but he couldn't finish.
And another missed opportunity as Dane Goodwin attacks and finds Cormac Ryan. Surprised Ryan didn't pull up a 3 on that possession.
Virginia has missed its last 8 from long distance.
But look at the mismatch right now. Kihei Clark guarding Nate Laszewski. Notre Dame figures it out, but it should open up a good look.
Goodwin cashes in just as you say, Corey.
Well, that's great offense by the Fighting Irish. When you recognize you've got a 7-footer with a 5'9" guy guarding him, get him the basketball, forcing Virginia to double team, it's going to open up an opportunity for someone on the perimeter, and that someone happens to be Dane Goodwin, who knocks it down.
And that is our 7th lead change of the game. Franklin makes it 8 lead changes, putting the Who's back in front.
And the dunk has gotten Armand Franklin going now, and he's starting to pick it up on the offensive end of the floor. And for Virginia to be successful, they're going to need to have Franklin and Gardner both firing on the offensive side of the floor.
Hammond with a tough turnaround. Make that Trey Wirtz excuse me. And Wirtz gets it back. Matt Zona getting more run here in the second half for the Irish. Wirtz going to work along the baseline.
And rarely do you see guys beating Kihei Clark off the dribble, but that time Trey Wirtz with a nice move and shielding Kihei with the body to be able to get the easy layup. John Crotty in the building to watch his record be broken by Kihei Clark. Now John Crotty, number 2. Kihei Clark, number 1 on the all-time list for assists as he drops it off to Jaden Gardner for number 684.
Giving number 7 Virginia a ball game here at John Paul Jones Arena. Fighting Irish finding the range, led by, once again today, Dane Goodwin. He was so good off the bench in the second half, especially last time out against Duke, and he's been doing it here. There's Trey Wirtz along the baseline as well. The Irish can score the basketball.
They absolutely can score the basketball. This is a very good offensive team, and you think about the fact that there are 6 graduate students on this Notre Dame team. This is not the way that they had envisioned their season going. But at the same time, one of the things that Mike Brey wants to make sure he gets across to his team is let's finish this the right way. There are still people watching, their eyes upon this program, a very proud program traditionally, and let's finish it up the right way. And again, Mike Brey is stepping away from Notre Dame. I don't think this is the last time we're going to see Mike Brey on a sideline. This is one of the best coaches in the game. And again, I think it's just a time for a change of scenery with the Fighting Irish. But I would love to see Mike Brey continue to coach.
Although I could see him on a beach with a cigar for a few months.
Now that is absolutely an opportunity for him as well. And you talk about a guy who really just takes in the environment. As Nate Laszewski knocks down the mid-range to tie the game once again. Mike Brey told us about he was walking down through the downtown mall here in Charlottesville yesterday, a nice night out last night. And his team is having a optional shoot-around. But he goes into a gospel concert on the downtown mall and sticks around for the concert and takes a picture and sends it to, of course, fellow coach Leonard Hamilton, who owns a gospel recording label. And he made it very clear that there was some juice going on in the gospel concert last night.
Well, I just finished reading Mike Brey's book, Keeping It Loose. He's still keeping it loose.
He does that. You're talking about the only coach that I can remember showing up with shorts on to go along with a polo shirt to coach a game 2 seasons ago at North Carolina.
Goodwin gets the roll. Once again tied at 40 apiece.
And now these two teams trading buckets. And of course, this favors Notre Dame. If they can continue to find something on the offensive end that Virginia has difficulty guarding, that's a plus for the Fighting Irish, because we have seen Virginia go through those scoring lulls. And Notre Dame has always struggled to defend throughout this season.
Wirtz uses the screen from Zona. Ryan gives it back to Wirtz. Franklin and McNeely in the backcourt right now. Here's Beekman as well, working from the high post area. Boy, Gardner has put together a remarkable career. He joined the 2,000-point club opening night against North Carolina Central and grabbed his 1,000th career rebound against Syracuse. Corey, he and Trace Jackson Davis of Indiana, the only 2 players currently active in college hoops with 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds.
Jaden Gardner has been a great, not good, a great college basketball player. 3rd-team All-ACC a season ago. And again, for Virginia to be successful and get to the heights they want to get to this year, they're going to have to follow him on the interior as a scorer.
Beekman for 3 off the feed from Gardner.
And they're also going to need more aggressiveness. Shots like that from Reece Beekman. This is the way Reece Beekman started the season for Virginia. And as they come to the end of the regular season, he's starting to pick it right back up.
Liberty Mutual.
In Wake County, North Carolina, Jaden Gardner's been able to get buckets. He also gets to the free throw line a lot. We've gotten a taste of that here this afternoon, Corey.
We absolutely have. Jaden Gardner missed the majority of the first half with those 2 fouls, but has been ultra aggressive here in this second half, just the way that Virginia needs him to be successful. And you look at the twos company. You mentioned earlier the only 2 active Division I players with over 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. Jaden Gardner, Trey Jackson Davis. Only one difference between the 2, though, Dougie Fresh. Jaden Gardner's done it in 5 years. Trey Jackson Davis has done it in 4. And again, it doesn't take away from Jaden Gardner, but there does need to be an asterisk beside the records, beside the books, that the guys had an opportunity to play another season.
Laszewski with another offensive rebound in the stick back. The Irish back to within 3. Laszewski now with 15 points.
And Virginia's done a great job throughout this game of not giving up those offensive rebounds. And just like that, Notre Dame starting to flex its muscle on the glass and coming up with second chance points.
You should mention that in only 3 years at East Carolina, Gardner remains the 8th all-time leading scorer in Pirates history. I mean, he has really had one heck of a career in 2 stops.
I believe if Jaden Gardner had stayed at East Carolina, he would have shattered every record available to him throughout his time there. But I'm sure there are many Virginia fans happy to see him wearing white here tonight.
No doubt. He's been on a roll lately for the Hoos. Last 6 games, shooting 53%, averaging 15.6 rebounds a game. He's got 8 points, 8 boards so far today. Zona teeing it up.
Yeah, we don't see enough of Matt Zona really for me to say that he has that in his repertoire or not. He shot it confidently, so I'm sure he can make threes, but I'm not sure if that's the shot they were looking for him at that moment.
Well, he had one in the first half, his only of the year. Now 1 for 4 on the season. Franklin with the layup. Goodwin turned down the corner 3, instead brings it back outside. 9:36 remaining in the second half. Notre Dame with the basketball down by 5.
And you mentioned Dane Goodwin turning it down. That's much to the dismay of Mike Bray, who has wanted Dane Goodwin to be more aggressive, take more shots. He turns that one down, but it works out for Trey Wirtz, so he attacks the basket, gets to the free throw line, and an opportunity to make this a 1-possession game.
Can we get a puppy, Mom? Please?
Girls, pets are a big expense.
Maybe try switching your car insurance to Progressive. You could save hundreds.
Thanks, TV Dad. We'll think about it, okay?
Look what I found.
Oh, puppy!
Oh, no.
I wish TV Dad was always in charge.
Listen to your TV Dad. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $700 on average.
I have moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Now there's Skyrizi.
Virginia Cavaliers. It's the grounds, not a campus.
I was about to say, did you just say campus?
It's still a campus.
It's not.
You can call it whatever you want. It's a college.
You can call it whatever you want, but you can't call it whatever you want while you're here.
Oh, I can, and I just did. Here on the grounds.
There you go.
And you can't say freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, first year, second year, third year, fourth year.
You can say freshman, sophomore, junior, senior when it comes to basketball or sports.
All right.
In academia, it is first, second, third, and fourth year, as Trey Wirtz does not allow for bacon. Here, as you hear the boos ring out at JPJ.
Yeah, free bacon for everybody if somebody on the opposing team misses consecutive free throws. So the 2 loudest cheers we've heard in the building so far today was that one with bacon on the line, and at halftime for the baby race.
The baby race was awesome.
Place erupted for the baby race.
Baby number 7 went to work, and it was the great move by Dad.
Yeah. Total blowout.
But the great move by Dad to roll the car keys to Mom. Baby number 7, who already had a huge lead, took off. Race was over.
And I was walking off the court with one of the forlorn fathers trying to talk up his baby, who came in woefully off the pace. Now we've got another piece of confetti that's just fallen to the floor. So now again, you've done some research, Corey. That confetti's been up there since when?
February the 5th. And shout out to Kate English for letting us know that it was a Journey and Toto concert here at JPJ, which is, of course, is a great concert venue. And the confetti is left over from then. So appreciate Kate looking out for us.
No doubt.
Making us look intelligent.
Hammond with the turnaround. Yeah, Toto, big hit. Africa was a big song in the Sherman household back in the day.
Okay.
Great concert. Carrie Underwood's going to be here in this building on Friday night. I heard that on the radio last night.
Once again, great concert venue.
Vanderplas thought about it. Good closeout by Laszewski. Kihei Clark feeds Franklin, and a foul is called against Goodwin, who says he went straight up. But Pat Driscoll says no, it's personal foul number 3.
Great cut by Franklin. I saw that one coming. Knew Kihei was going to throw him that one about 5 seconds before it happened.
And when you're playing with the all-time assist king in Virginia basketball history, you better be ready for that pass coming your way. He passed John Crotty earlier here this afternoon for that mark. And so now here is Franklin playing through a broken nose. Had it taped up last time out. No tape today. And he gets the bounce. looking ahead at Notre Dame's matchup next Saturday. Check that. We've got a college basketball doubleheader coming up on ESPN and the app that is fantastic. Number 9, Baylor. Number 5, Kansas, a sonic blockbuster, 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Then Syracuse hosting Duke at the Dome. It's another great day of hoops over on ESPN.
Baylor, Kansas, the last 2 national champions.
Yep.
Of course, the national champion prior to that. We are calling right now the Virginia Cavaliers with no
You guys
NCAA
had a 2-year reign.
Exactly. No NCAA tournament in 2020. Virginia was able to hold the reins for 2 seasons.
Kihei Clark with the takeaway. Under 8 minutes to go. Who's up by 4, and now they'll pull it out and work some clock. Look for a good shot. Ryan Dunn is back on the floor for Virginia.
The one thing Virginia has not been able to do, they have not really been able to separate themselves from Notre Dame throughout this game, and it really hasn't been because of the offense. It's been about the defense.
Clark missed the shot, and then the foul is called. We'll take a break with 7:41 remaining. Got a good ball game as number 7 Virginia gets pushed. There's number 7 finding mom way ahead of the rest of the field.
And this was an absolute blowout when you get an opportunity to see the baby race. No balance there, unlike the balance scoring that we've seen from Virginia throughout this game.
I see what you did there, Corey.
You like what I did there? Hey, listen, I'm not UVA educated for nothing, my man. You look at the Virginia scoring balance. Armand Franklin with 12 points. Reece Beekman, who's led Virginia in field goal attempts today, with 11. Kihei Clark with 10. Jaden Gardner will be the next who most likely in double figures. Bennett Vanderplas with only 5. And all of his points came in the first half, but that's been a recipe for the Hoos this season. They have had balanced scoring when they're normally successful, to make it to where no team can really key on one guy. They don't have a guy in the top 20 in the ACC in scoring, but they have 4 guys averaging close to or over double figures.
All right, Corey, I got a chink in the armor for your alma mater here. For all the good things we've said about the Hoos, they're not a good free throw shooting team. Kihei Clark just 1 of 2 on that trip. They are 10 for 13 today, but the reality is they're next to last in the ACC at only 70%.
And that's one of the things, you know, when I walk through JPJ and I'm talking to many of the alum here and people who were around many, many years ago to watch me play basketball, they ask, hey, can you go out there and make some free throws for us? Well, one, no, because I actually wasn't a great free throw shooter in college, so I'm not going to call it.
I know you know.
I was a low 70s, mid-70s guy. Yeah, I was a much better free throw shooter in the NBA. But also, you got to play defense to play for Tony Bennett, and I am not about that level of defense.
So you're saying coming out of Oak Hill, if Coach Bennett was the head coach here at Virginia, he might not have offered you because he knew you wouldn't defend for him?
I'm not going to say that. I believe he would have offered me, but I also believe he knows that I wouldn't play the type of defense that he wants me to play, so I'm not sure how much he would have recruited me.
Wirtz misfires from the corner. Nice rebound by Armand Franklin at 6'4", 200. One of the grown men out on the floor, grabbing what was now the 12th miss from the three-point line in their last 15 shots for the Irish.
And now Gardner with a mismatch, kicks it out to Vanderplas, a nice look. And ends up being the right play. I initially thought that Gardner, without the double team, should have gone to work on Cormac Ryan, but Jaden Gardner makes the right decision. And now Vanderplas is 8 points, 2 away from being a 5th guy in double figures.
Laszewski gets him right back. Nate Laszewski having a big game. He's now got 18 points to lead the Fighting Irish.
And Laszewski had 16 against Virginia a year ago, where Notre Dame was able to beat the Hoos in South Bend. So he's found some success against Virginia over the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, and in the last month, as Kihei misses badly on the 3, Laszewski has had some brilliant shooting games. January 21st, 7 of 9, 29 points against Boston College. And then earlier this month against Virginia Tech, he put 33 on the Hokies, 6 of 9 from distance.
And Nate Laszewski over his last 4 games averaging 24.5 points per game. So he's been playing great basketball as of late. And if you're Notre Dame right now, you may want to see if you can get him a couple more looks.
Here's Wirtz, fouled by Clark. That is number 1 on the Virginia point guard.
Cormac Ryan just going pick and pop with Nate Laszewski. Laszewski finding that corner, and no hesitation from Laszewski knocking down the 3 ball.
Laszewski from way downtown. Not that time.
Don't mind it. You know, you got a guy who's shooting the basketball well. He's playing with confidence. He's hot. Don't mind him taking that shot at all.
Vanderplas. And Laszewski with another rebound, keeping the Fighting Irish right there, down 5 with the basketball, under 5 to play. Goodwin trying to back down on Reece Beekman, rising up. We've seen him do it time and time again at Notre Dame.
You knew when he drove it from that right wing exactly where he was going. No help from Virginia, and you're basically playing one-on-one 35 and up style. Dane Goodwin backing down Reece Beekman and going over the top to score.
Franklin drives on Laszewski. Turns, shoots, no. Good stand defensively by Notre Dame.
It absolutely was, and great job by Nate Laszewski after getting knocked off his line, coming back to contest that shot.
A chance for the tie. Laszewski missed it. Got a good look, though, and he has been hot.
A great look, and Tony Bennett not happy about the look that Nate Laszewski was able to get.
Virginia's trying to protect its space atop the ACC standings. Came into the day tied with Pittsburgh for first, but being pushed to the max. Kihei Clark on the drive. It's back to a 5-point game.
Talking to Tony Bennett pregame, one thing that he told us of the many things that he's loved about Kihei Clark, it's his big play, big shot mentality. He's not a guy that takes a lot of shots, but he makes and takes a lot of big shots.
3 minutes to go. Goodwin over Gardner. No. Beekman with the weak side rebound. Beekman trying to work on Laszewski. Goes around him. Missed it. Gardner missed on the tip in. Laszewski tips it out. Here comes Cormac Ryan. Irish down 5. Hammond takes the contact. Puts it up and in. Timeout, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame one possession away. Right now trailing by 3 in Charlottesville, looking for their first win ever in Charlottesville. And we've got two guys going at it in their fight to the finish. Dane Goodwin and Kihei Clark, both with big baskets, and both have played over 150 games in college. No stranger to tight finishes.
Virginia 55, Notre Dame 52. The Who's trying to keep pace with Pittsburgh and the others at the top of the ACC standings.
And Virginia continues to excel in ACC play. Another opportunity for a regular season championship, which is, of course, no rare feat for Tony Bennett and his club. But seeing Pittsburgh at the top of the ACC, you have to smile, be happy for Jeff Capel, his staff, of course, Tim O'Toole, Jason Capel, Milan Brown. They have done a great job throughout this season. And right now, Virginia and Pittsburgh, along with Miami, have been the class of the ACC this season.
And by the way, Pittsburgh plays later tonight, 5 o'clock on ACC Network at Virginia Tech. Miami, meanwhile, is home against Wake Forest coming up at the top of the hour. And you can see that on ACC Network Extra. Clark misses the shot. Laszewski clears the rebound. Notre Dame has been here time and again on the road in a tight ball game, but has yet to win a true road game, Corey, this season.
And yet to win ever in Charlottesville. So a couple of records right here on the line for Mike Brey in his final visit to Virginia as the head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Third foul on Vanderplas with 5 on the shot clock, which resets now to 20. Yeah, in their last 4 true road games, Notre Dame has lost by 4 at Duke, lost by 2 at Georgia Tech, lost by 3 at North Carolina State, and lost by 5 at Syracuse.
And they're used to playing close games, but right now Mike Brey wants to see if they can win a close game. And a great chance for them again, a top 10 team here at JPJ today.
Laszewski off the nice screen and roll, could not finish, and with just over a minute to go, UVA will walk it up. Clark sheds the defender, doesn't shoot, instead brings it back out to Vanderplas. 5 to shoot. Here goes Clark to work. Kick to the corner. Beekman got to put it up on the runner. No. Irish rebound. 35 seconds in regulation.
If you're Notre Dame, you don't mind a quick 3 if you get a good look at it on this possession. They didn't get it. Virginia got back defensively.
Hammond draws the foul on Clark and will head to the line to shoot 2.
Best possible scenario outside of knocking down a 3 for Notre Dame is getting to the free throw line. Opportunity to put points on the board. More importantly, set their defense. See if Mike Brey goes with some full court pressure right here to try to speed up Virginia and get a turnover before you commit the foul.
Only a 62% foul shooter. Hammond calmly knocks down the first. Out of Cardozo High School. He's from Queens, New York. And he's got a big second free throw upcoming. Down 2. Zona will come back for Notre Dame, replacing Hammond, who just made a pair of huge free throws.
And now Mike Brey going to call the timeout and discuss how he wants to go about the pressure on Virginia. Trailing by 1, see if they can get a turnover.
Virginia basketball, if you're the Cavaliers, what do you do? And if you're the Irish, what do you do?
Well, for Virginia, you want to have Bennett Vanderplas taking the basketball out of bounds. He's not the best free throw shooter within this group. And you want to get the basketball into the hands of Reece Beekman or Kihei Clark. But the problem with getting the basketball in the hands of Kihei Clark, as a smaller guard, a trap affects him differently than it does Reece Beekman. So if right now, if I'm Tony Bennett, I want Reece Beekman with the basketball. If you're Notre Dame, you want to try the trap and foul if you have to.
Yeah, Beekman's your best free throw shooter if you're Virginia. They get it into Gardner, who is only a 65% foul shooter, but it's a non-shooting foul. That's the 16th foul on the Irish. Now, again, if you're Virginia, I think you'd want to get it into Beekman's hands.
You absolutely do. But the thing with both these teams, neither of them foul much. So you're going to have to keep fouling to get into the bonus. And that should be the foul that puts them into the bonus. But you have to foul Kihei Clark, who hasn't shot free throws great down the stretch here recently. But he's a guy that's been to the line and been in this position so often. Tony Bennett is comfortable with him being there.
Yeah, 75% on the year. He is 4 for 6 today. Ryan Dunn will come back in, replacing Bennett Vanderplas. Either way, the Fighting Irish should get the basketball back with a chance to at least tie. Big first free throw. Clark will get the bonus. Nicely done for number 0 in white. 15 points for the 5th-year senior.
But it's still not of utmost importance right now for Notre Dame to get the 3. They can take the quick 2 and play it the same way.
Works. Goodwin for the tie. No. Gardner has the rebound for Virginia, and he is fouled. The Irish have made only 4 of their last 18 three-point shots, Corey.
And Virginia stepping up, getting the job done defensively again. Tony Bennett substituting, getting Ryan Dunn in the game. And Dunn makes a strong defensive stand, putting the hand up, contesting Dane Goodwin, not allowing him to have a good look. resulting in a missed opportunity for Notre Dame.
Well, when you need to get a shot late in a game, Virginia's not the defense you want to be staring at.
But still, opportunity for Notre Dame, down 3.
Doors open, and the foul is committed by Gardner before Wirtz could get off a shot, so we'll have a 1-and-1. I love the strategy.
It was a great foul by Jaden Gardner right there, and of course it was done intentionally. He knew exactly what he was making happen on that possession to not allow Notre Dame to get a good look at the 3. And still only 3.9 seconds remaining. Difficult to get multiple possessions at this point.
And I never understand, Corey, in those situations why a coach wouldn't foul.
Well, there's always the risk of making the first one and then executing your spot to get the tip out on the second free throw right here. So now, again, if there's a way for Notre Dame, in which Mike Bray's going to draw up right now, to miss, tip it out, a three-pointer beats you now. And that's oftentimes why many coaches don't go that route, because the worst thing that can happen if a team does make a 3 is you tie and go to overtime, which you would much prefer that in comparison to making the first free throw, tip out, a 3 beats you, and you walk off losing a game that you were winning up 3 so late.
Well, we have a really good Sunday afternoon college basketball doubleheader on ESPN and the app. We'll start with Terquavion Smith, the number 23 North Carolina State, hosting Armando Bacot and North Carolina. That's at 1 Eastern. And then it's number 2 Houston, led by Marcus Sasser, hosting Kendrick Davis and Memphis, right there on Joe Lunardi's bubble. Big games all around with just over 2 weeks left in the college basketball regular season. So how do you go about a good missed free throw that you can then rebound and get a shot off to either tie or potentially win it here?
Well, these would be the equivalent to special teams in football. These are situations that coaches practice oftentimes at the end of their practices. But what you want to be able to do, of course, you got 2 guys on offense who are not going to be on the free throw line. So when you think about it, you're going to want someone from one side to immediately sprint over, set a screen on the big on the other side, miss, and find a way to either tip it in and tie the game or tap it out to one of your guys beyond the three-point arc to get a look at a shot that can beat Virginia here on this floor.
And this is not a good offensive rebounding Notre Dame team. Wirtz at the line. Laszewski and Zona are the 2 Irish bigs along the sides of the lane. Just 2 offensive rebounds as a team for Notre Dame today. Wirtz, no. Back to Wirtz. Goodwin for the win. Couldn't make it, and Virginia survives.
That is why many coaches don't choose to foul.
It worked.
It worked. Notre Dame got exactly what they wanted, just unable to make the shot. But if that shot